Hello, welcome back to the channel. Now it's going to be the top 10 worst books of 2023. And then I only DNF'd one book. So I thought I might as well just throw that in this list too. Because, yeah, I don't know, might as well. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the DNF, which is Paris is a Party, Paris is a Ghost by David Hoon Kim. And I don't even know how to fucking explain this book. It's like, basically, it's a fucking weird, confusing, it's like supposed to be like a weird book and kind of metaphorical, but also painfully boring. Yeah. So a girl like locks herself in a room and she dies, and then it's about like the people in her life, like her boyfriend, the examiners who examine her body and shit. And I think I got through the first part, and then I just like looked up what happened in the rest, and it was just all some bullshit and very boring, very uninteresting. And I don't know, maybe if you're smarter than me, you can take something away from this. I personally could not, because I think this book might just be too smart for me. Too smart or just bad, I don't know. In my opinion, it's just bad, but I think I might just be too stupid. Whatever. Okay. Now, for the top 10 worst. At number 10 is Nosferatu by Joe Hill, which, like, number 10 to 3. All of these books got 3 stars. 3, like 2.5 to 3. Like, Nosferatu got a 3. And I don't think it's a bad book. I enjoyed some of it. It's just, it's 600, like almost 700 pages. It's a big boy, and I struggle with bigger books like this if there's no reason for them to be this big. And a lot of this book was the same thing happening over and over again, and I just needed it to move on and get to where I knew it was going. That was the problem too, is because I knew exactly where and how this book was going to end, and it did end that way. And so that just kind of made the journey seem less important to me, because I knew where it was going the whole time. But this is about a girl, Victoria McQueen, who has a knack for finding hidden objects, or like misplaced or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's about her, Victoria McQueen, and I don't even remember. She gets like kidnapped or something by this creepy guy with his car. And then, yeah, this book is kind of hard to explain without just spoiling it all. There's like a TV show about it. I don't have any interest in watching it. But yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I really like Joe Hill's book, Horns, but this one just was way too bloated for me. Okay, number 9 is The Sad Ghost Club by Lizzie Meddings. And this one also got just a 3-star, and I didn't think it was like horribly bad or anything. It just was like extremely mediocre and didn't do anything for me. It's about a sad ghost who's very lonely, and then he goes out and he finds another sad ghost, and they talk and stuff. And yeah, it wasn't like horrible or anything like that. It just literally did nothing for me. Like, I'm a graphic novel girly. I like them, and this just like did nothing for me. Truly nothing. And I already bought the second one, so I'll probably be reading that this year. Okay. Number 7 is Never Been Kissed by Timothy Janovsky. And this book is about this college kid who like, I forgot when he started, but right by his house is a drive-in theater, and he works there every summer, like when he's off from college. So now he's graduated college and he wants to like work at the drive-in like year-round kind of thing. And then he meets up with his old friend from high school, and they might have had a experience, you know. And yeah, in this book, it literally, this is another 3-star. Literally did nothing bad, nothing wrong with it. I remember it, and I liked it. It took me so fucking long to finish this book because I just didn't care enough to finish reading it. It just did nothing for me. I didn't hate it, didn't dislike it, you know. It literally did nothing for me. I could, like, and that's, like, a big thing with, like, from 10 to 3, is they just did nothing for me. They're not horrible books, they're not atrocious or, like, hard to read or anything like that. 1 and 2, we'll get there, but, like, it just really did nothing for me. And, I mean, if you like, gay love stories and you're big into the rom-coms, like, I'm more of a horror girly, I find that I like those books more, and so I just struggled with this one. Yeah. Oh, I think I said this was number 7. This is number 8. Yeah, because 10, 9, 8. Oops. Okay. Then 7 is The Family Game by Catherine Steadman, and I read this for Kayla's Books and Lala's book club. And once again, it was another 3-star. It just did nothing for me. I only have two stars that I read this year, which one of them, the number 1, could be a 1-star, but I didn't feel like being mean. And yeah, this book didn't do anything wrong. It was just dreadfully basic and boring and and obvious. And the family game, are there's maybe 50 pages of the games that happen, and this book is like 300 pages long. It's just not nearly enough games. I find the dynamic with the family that... Okay, so this is about a girl who... she has a dark secret. She's a bad person. And she tells you that at the end of, like, almost every single fucking chapter about how bad of a person she is, which that also fucking irks me, especially when they just won't tell you what she did. It's like, oh, I'm such a bad person. Oh. Whatever. And then she meets a guy. She's gonna go marry into his family. He's like, my family's weird. And so they go over there for, like, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever. And then they play some family games, and there's, like, corruption, and the dad, her fiance's father, gives her a tape. And so she plays the tape, and it kind of sounds like a confession. And yeah, it was just painfully boring. The bitch, this bitch would not listen to the tape. It took her the entire book to listen to that one tape. And meanwhile, she's like listening to 5 minutes of the tape, and it's like, let me investigate. Girl, if you just listen to the entire tape, you would be able to have all the information and go off of all of the information, then investigate properly. Because the bitch just wastes her time. It's just, yeah. It was just, other than that, dreadfully mediocre. The main girlie was fucking annoying. I'm sorry, she was stupid. And the whole, I'm a bad person, blah, 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 at the end of every chapter is so fucking overdone. So overdone. Like, I'm just so tired of that. And I don't even know if I'm properly explaining that I'm tired of, but in these, like, thriller mystery books where the main character has also done something bad, and they're investigating a bad thing, and then, like, while they're investigating that thing, they're always like, oh, I shouldn't judge because I'm such a bad person too, but they don't tell you what she did. They do tell you what she did, but, and it's never as bad as they make it out to be, which also annoys me. Like, I want a bitch, if a bitch is gonna be like, I'm such a bad person, I want her to be fucking psychotic. I want her to have done something that would have put her away for life. You know what I mean? And yeah, this book, just other than that, didn't do anything for me. The characters, blah, the story, blah, boring as fuck. Number 6 is Even If We Break by, I'm not even gonna try to read that name. And this book, this was the first book I read of 2022, so it's been a minute. Or 2023, so it's been a minute. And it's about 5 friends that go to a cabin, and then to play, like, a D&D game, and then, like, some, like, secret thing happens, and people start dying or something, I think. I don't 100% remember. I just remember it being extremely underwhelming, boring, and I was just ready for it to end because it just didn't do anything for me once again. Now this one is probably more of a 2.5. Like the other ones were just 3s because like I could get through them. It wasn't that hard. Like this one, it took me a minute to get through because I just didn't care. Like and I don't even remember. Like I gave it a 2.5 star for a reason. It was in one ear, out the other. While I was reading it, obviously I was following the story, but I don't remember anything about it now. I just remember a game. They went to a cabin. They played D&D, and then there's like some secret thing that they did or whatever, and then it's like, oh, we're all bad people, blah blah blah, and whatever. Yeah, I'm over it. I don't want to talk about it. Number 5 is Your Lonely Nights Are Over by Adam Sass. So this one probably should not be this low on the list, but Surrender Your Sons, which was if you watched my top 10 favorites, is my favorite book of 2023, and that was also by Adam Sass. So I went into this book with extremely high expectations. I was extremely excited for this, and I found this dreadfully boring. It just really also did nothing for me. It was a 2.5, and it's like the two main characters are just kind of assholes, which I get it, that was supposed to be their thing, but like they were, like I don't know how to explain it. They were assholes that didn't recognize that they were assholes. Like if you're gonna be a bitch, own being a bitch. Like Regina George knows she's a bitch. Like these two were like kind of mean, and they really saw nothing wrong with them being mean, and it's whatever. And then there's a lot of attempted teen lingo from nowadays in this, and it was giving very much like a 30-40-year-old men trying to write a teen character, which I'm so sorry, Adam Sass. I enjoyed your Surrender Your Sons a lot. This book just was not it. The mystery was not compelling. The characters I do not think were strong. I liked him, whatever his name was. This one, the little Twinkie, he was fucking annoying. I did not like him. I think Cole. Yeah, Cole. I think Cole has the kind of love interest in it named Benny, who I liked. That's the one part of the book that I enjoyed. It was Cole and Benny. But, whatever. Deary, which weird name. He was just fucking annoying. He was a complainer, a whiner. He was annoying. And he was fucking stupid. And so basically, it's about these two friends, and they live in a town where there's once a serial killer who would target people who were lonely. So they would kill them, and then by them would be a note that said, "Your lonely nights are over." And it's like, oh no, so you don't want to be lonely. And then now, like, however far in the future, it starts happening again. And instead of that, they're targeting the gay kids at their school. Their like LGBTQ plus club, which Cole and Deary calls them the flops, which is just very, very cringe, very, very old man trying to write teenagers. Like they wouldn't, like if they didn't like them, they wouldn't come up with a name for them like the flops. They would just ignore them, you know. Like obviously I'm 23. It's been like 5 years since I've been in high school, but like most of the time in high school, you're just trying to get by. Like bullying and shit, that happens in middle school. Middle school, you have more time on your hands to do that. By the time you're in high school, there's so much pressure put on the teenagers nowadays to get good grades, to get into colleges. There's really not a whole lot of bullying. Like, and it didn't work. It was, the mystery was not compelling at all. It was relatively obvious what was going to happen, and it was so fucking long. I think it was almost like, okay, it was 400 pages. Like a good 100 pages could have been cut off from this, and it would have been so much better. It was just like, I hate that. That's my biggest pet peeve with books, if they're longer than they need to be. Same with movies. Like, I just watched Beau is Afraid last night. Fucking 3 hours. 3 hours long. And I don't need to get started on Beau is Afraid, but I would not recommend. It's like a mind-fucking movie, but it didn't work. It was a mind-fucking movie which I feel without a purpose. Like, I watched a video trying to explain it, and like they brought up Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive is a mindfucking movie where the director had a clear vision and a clear purpose for where the story was going and what it was trying to do. Beau is Afraid did not have that. It didn't, and it was 3 fucking hours long. Like, it had me for the first hour and a half, and then I checked the time, and I was like, fuck, I still have another hour and a half. It just was not great. Okay, and neither was this book. 2.5, whatever. Number 4 is A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing, which was also a part of Kayla's book club. And this is about, like, a toxic relationship, and that's really it. They did something bad in their past. They're such bad people. And that's it. It's about a toxic relationship. It's supposed to be a thriller mystery. Was not thrilling, was no mystery. And it was like, by toxic, it wasn't even abusive. They were just fucking petty. Like, they would do petty shit to each other. And it just, like, it was not good. It was also very long, once again. And it's like, felt very long. Which, I don't even think it's probably that long. I mean, it's almost 400. It felt so long. Because literally nothing was fucking happening. There's, like, other perspectives of people. And they tried to do the mystery. Samantha, girl, I don't know what the fuck she was doing. She was trying to do shit, and it just was not working. It was not compelling. The main couple, they were just assholes to each other. And then you're supposed to, like, root for their love story, kind of. Even though they both kind of sucked, and I just wasn't rooting for either of them. I wanted them to go to jail. And yeah, it just wasn't good. Was a waste of time, very boring, didn't do anything for me. As most of these books. Okay. Number 3, which is my biggest disappointment of the year, is The Taking of Jake Livingston. And the way I found out about this book was Nightmare Maven, who is a horror girly, who also works at a bookshop, which is really cool. And so she knows all about the books. And then so I forgot what video she talked about this in, but I thought it sounded very interesting. And it was about a young gay black teenager who's, like, in high school or whatever, who starts to get possessed by a school shooter. And yeah. And so I thought that was an extremely interesting kind of, like, avenue to take. And I was extremely excited by her recommendation. And it was just, I don't know. I think my problem too is I don't think paranormal movies in general really, like, I connect to or stick to. Those just aren't even the type of movies or books or media that I really like. They have to be, like, top notch for me to really like a, like, paranormal-esque movie or book. Like The Haunting of Hill House, Talk to Me, The Exorcist. Like, those ones I eat up and love. But they have to be, like, top tier. Like, if it's just a basic, boring paranormal movie, I'm most likely not gonna like it. Like, I'm more of a slasher girly. Like, I love slasher movies and movies like Friday the 13th, Scream, Halloween, which is, oh, you can't see it. It's, like, up above the books. And yeah, it's just, yeah. And this book just, and then, especially with, like, because there's so many school shooters nowadays, and the way people try to sympathize or gain sympathy for a school shooter, I just really cannot get behind. And this book does that. It tries to make you sympathize for the school shooter. And number 2 is Always the First to Die by R.J. Jacobs, which, Books and Lala, I forget what video when she talked about this, but I remember, I think she gave it, like, 3 stars, 2.5. And I remember she was talking about this. I was like, ooh, that sounds so interesting. And then, but I remember her saying something like, but it's very not that great. Like, you don't have to pick it up. I'm like, girl, I'm gonna pick it up. And she was right. So basically, it's about this. There was this movie set that was, like, cursed. People died at the movie set. And then one of the main actresses at the movies she left had a family, had a daughter. Then her husband goes missing. And her daughter goes back down to the island where it's filmed. So she has to go there during a hurricane to try to rescue her daughter. And there was, like, a lot of mysteries in this book, and none of them were compelling, interesting, or shocking. And, like, as someone who lived in Florida and has lived through hurricanes, there was a lot of inconsistencies, which I get it. It was, like, there's one main one that I don't want to spoil, that just like would not have happened if you were in a hurricane, and it was like to help set up a twist, which I understand, but like the girl that lived there would know that that wouldn't have happened because she grew up in Florida, in this town, or yeah, in Florida, and it was like, okay, so obviously that person's bad because this wouldn't be happening. And it's just, I don't 100% don't 100% remember everything that happened. I just remember nothing special or important had happened. It was extremely mediocre, extremely boring, extremely meh. That's all one word for this book, meh. Not worth a read. I don't really know how anyone could 100% love this book because it just didn't do anything for me. Nothing. Okay, that's all I have to say. Number 1 is The Christmas Pig by J.K. Rowling, which I know, we all hate her. We hate J.K. Rowling. But in 2021, I want to say, or 2020 maybe, it might have been even 2020, my mom gifted me this book because I love pigs. I'm a big pig boy. And she saw this and she was like, oh my god, and she's not like online. She's not aware of all the horrendous things J.K. Rowling has said and has doubled down on. I think that's her biggest crime, is doubling down on some of the statements she's made. And my mom's not aware of that, so she got it for me. And then my brother was like, oh, don't we hate J.K. Rowling? And my mom was like, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, you know, she's kind of like transphobic and stuff. Then my mom started crying a little bit, and I was like, no, mom, it's fine. It's whatever, you know? I can separate the art from artist, which I tried to do going into this book. And it's also like, this is also a book for like a young kid. It seems like I think I was probably way too old to be reading this book. But my mom gave it to me. I wanted to read it. I wanted to give it a chance. And it was very not great. Well, it's like, it wasn't, like, obviously J.K. Rowling's a talented writer, like Harry Potter or whatever. I've never read Harry Potter. I don't have any desire to read Harry Potter. But she's obviously, like, talented. And the writing in this really wasn't bad. I liked the first little start of it a lot, actually. And then, it's just like, if you're gonna give me a book called The Christmas Pig, and then you're not gonna have a book that feels Christmassy, then what the fuck was the point? This book was not a Christmas book or a Christmas story, in my opinion. The only reason it's called The Christmas Pig and it's set on Christmas is to sell copies. That 1,000,000 fucking %, because basically it's about this kid who has this stuffed pig called Pig, so he calls it DP. And then he gets, his parents get a divorce and his mom remarries, and then he gets a new stepsister. And the stepsister and him start fighting because the stepsister's mean, whatever. And then she throws his pig out of the window on a highway. And so obviously the kid freaks out because that's like his guy, that's his friend. He's the only one that understands. And then so they go and they can't find the pig. They're like, I think that he's with his grandparents. They try to find the pig. They can't find the pig. So the sister and the grandpa go and buy him a new one. And that's the Christmas pig. And then he takes it and then he starts trying to like rip its head off and like freaking out because he's like, I don't want this pig. I want my pig. And all this is happening on Christmas Eve. And then he goes to sleep. Then in the middle of the night, he wakes up and everything in his room is talking. The, like, Christmas pig is talking. His, like, wardrobe, I think, is talking. His, like, jacket's talking. Like, everything that... Every inanimate object in his room is talking. And then the pig is like, oh, we need to travel to the land of the lost to go find your pig. And the kid's like, okay, let's go. Like, I want my pig. But, and then so they they have to go get lost and they travel to the land of the lost. And that's where the majority of this book takes place. It is not a Christmas adventure. It is an adventure of lost things. The only thing Christmassy about this book is that he calls this pig that he travels with the Christmas pig. Other than that, nothing Christmassy about it. For someone who wrote Harry Potter, I expected a much more imaginative and engaging book. This was so basic and so unimaginative. Like, all of the characters in these books were lost things with fake eyes and a mouth on them. Like a lost paperclip with fake eyes and a mouth, wrapping paper with a fake eyes and a mouth, like a stuffed bunny with fake eyes and a mouth, because they come to life in the land of the lost. Like, there's also lost emotions. So if you lose an emotion, it goes to the land of the lost as well. If you lose your happiness, it goes to the land of the lost. And it's just shit like that, where it's just like, girl, did you really think this through? Like, it just wasn't a good or compelling story at all. So that was my top 10 least favorite books that I read of 2023, and one DNF. Probably do my top 10 favorite 2023, or top 20 favorite, and like top 15 least favorite of the year, because I don't know, might as well. I mean, I watch all those movies. So yeah, that will probably come soon, and yeah, I don't know when. I don't know. It's gonna come out when I feel like it. I still have a couple more movies to watch. Like, that's why I watched Beau's Afraid, because I wanted to see if it would get on my worst or best list, which I don't think it's getting in either. It's like more of a middle of the road movie for me, because it was like produced and made well, but I don't think the story was well executed at all. But that's just me. Sorry, Emma at Spooky Astronauts. I know you absolutely love that movie, but it just didn't do it for me. And yeah. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'm gonna hopefully post more this year, because I got a new laptop that I can actually edit on. Like, as you can see, if you fucking made it this far, I can't edit for shit. Well, I used iMovie because I don't know what editing software to get. And yeah, so yeah, hopefully I post more and read more, because I got the computer so I could edit and read more, so I could post videos, and to motivate me to read more. And yeah, okay, bye.